Well, hello, coaches. Coach KW finally back again for the last of this three-part series of coaching futsal for soccer coaches. This one took a little bit longer than I expected. It's been quite the month. On the 5th of December, I flew out to go to MLS Next Fest, watch my son play with the U16s, and I've been sick since the moment I landed in California, basically, and then came back home. It's been quite the ordeal through the holidays. Even at this point, I can't hear more than maybe 60% out of one of these ears because it's still blocked. But Happy New Year to all. Hope you are way better than I am or are been better than I am on the mend. So today I'm going to take a look at four activities that I love to do with my futsal teams. Some are very traditional and maybe some are a little bit different, but I'm hoping that they'll inspire you, maybe give you some ideas of stuff to can do. Again, I'm a soccer coach who plays futsal in the winter to get better at soccer. So I'm not a futsal purist in any way, shape, or form, but I found that these activities, the kids enjoy them. I've done them with multiple teams, guest coaching, and with my team, and everybody seems to get something out of it. So I'm going to jump into it right now and hope you enjoy it. And the first one is very simple. This is the basic setup for line passing. So you've probably seen this perhaps. Maybe you do this even outdoors where you'll have two lines. You need at least three players to do this so that it can run continuously. I've got a ball and I've got folks on either side. And basically the idea is the ball is passed to this player and then this player follows their pass to go to the end. This player receives the ball, passes it, follows their pass, etc., etc. Pretty straightforward. But what in futsal, because it is a bit different in terms of receiving the ball that you receive with the sole of your foot, it's a great way to focus on receiving that ball with the sole of your foot, pushing it out with your foot once you received it, and making a good pass. Futsal balls, as I've said before, are very unforgiving. You really have to have good technique in your forward passing in order to be accurate. And this really just isolates it. It's very simplistic, but you can do lots of different things. You can add a cone in. So now the players, when they receive the ball, instead of just passing it, they first dribble, do a 1v1 move around the cone with the ball, then make the pass. You can do all sorts of variations. You can add a second ball and the players pass the ball to each other, or maybe they dribble to each other, and instead of going around a cone, they go around each other doing a 1v1 move, and then they play the ball to the next person in line. Lots of different ways to think about this. But again, very straightforward, very simple, but the idea is you're focusing on the technique that you want them to do, and they have no other distractions but to do this and to do it well. The second setup for the second activity is 2v2 to end zones. So this is very much like playing half-court basketball on a court with friends or whatever. Basically, what we do is we find some way to make a line. Here on the futsal court, there are these dots on a lot of basketball courts. You might have the top of the three-point arc. You might have volleyball lines painted on your court. There's all sorts of lines painted on courts when you're out there. Some way or another, whether you need to use cones or not, you want to find a line to break this up so that the space in here that they're playing 2v2 and isn't too large. And the idea is when the players with the ball are beyond that line, they're in a safe zone. And you can see I have two teams set up going, two groups or players right now playing at the same time. So once they get this ball out here, the player with the ball can't be tackled by this player. They can't chase them. So it's a little bit to catch a breather and reset. And the whole idea here is what they're looking to do is they're looking to find a way to combine and play 2v2. And the idea is they want to either receive a pass or dribble into this end zone. So basically, most basketball courts, the line at the end of the court obviously isn't right against the wall because they need room, when they play basketball to be able to go through and under the hoop for when the ball goes out of play. So the idea is you're looking to play the ball into that zone and receive it. Put your foot on the ball or dribble into that space to gain a point. If the other team wins the ball, they need to try and get themselves out into the safe zone. And the orange team now is counter-pressing. They're trying to get the ball back. But if once this team gets out past the safe zone, they can take a breather, everybody resets, and then they continue to play. So here's some live action again blurred out. But here you're going to see coming towards the camera, what the one of the players is going to make a run. Once they get free for that player up in the safe zone, makes that pass through. and the player stops it in the end zone for a point. In this one here, you'll see same sort of thing, but this time the player tries to play that end zone pass and they weren't successful, and then they kick it out of bounds, and they make a clever run after the fact. They realize, like, oops, they caught the other team sort of napping because now the ball's gone out of bounds. The partners come over here. He gets the ball, kicks to the player, and makes a run across the court. They don't pick him up, and he scores a point. The next setup for this is four square or fill in the blank. So what I do is I set the team groups of four up. So I'll set them up in a square. Really the distances, you don't want this to be huge. But the idea here is you've set players up in a pretty simple, straightforward square. Maybe they're 10 yards away from each other. And the player with the ball can choose to pass the ball to any other player. But the interesting piece of this is when this player plays the ball, they now leave their space and can go anywhere. So if this player goes here, somebody has to fill in the gap, the hole that they've left in, before this player can now play another pass. So now maybe this player pays the ball here and they decide to go here. Now the question could be is, does this player go here, or does this player go here and this player goes diagonal? And the whole purpose of this exercise is to get your players to start to recognize that as players move in rotation, somebody has to find the open space and move into it. So this isn't necessarily a speed passing exercise. They're not trying to go as fast as possible, one touch passing across. The idea is the ball moves, and once the ball is there, the real action is when this player moves to go to an open space, what are the other teammates going to do? Is this player going to run across? If this player does, then here that player goes there. And the idea is by the time this player now has control of the ball, they wait till everybody's in position and they go. So it's not necessarily a passing exercise. It's a vision exercise. It's an awareness exercise. So we'll take a look at that as the kids do it. The kids really struggle at first with this, and then they begin to enjoy it. And that's the great part about it, because they start to figure out, oh, we now have to start looking for each other, and it works. You could even, the player who plays this ball could go to where the player who has that ball is. It does cause them complications because now who's going to go to that spot? They can't go with the ball. So usually what I say is you can't go to where you've played the ball. You have to go to somebody else. Otherwise, they start to fight with each other when it goes in that regards. And the most favorite activity, at least for my kids, obviously, is scrimmaging. And scrimmaging is a vital part of any practice because you want them to be able to rehearse the game as it is, to play it as best as possible in the situation that they're going to do in real life so that they work on all the things combined. Here, we're playing, I believe, 3v3. I'm making up the numbers on this team, so ignore the grossly overweight man who's playing with kids 40 plus years younger than him. Not my best weight nor fitness level here, but that's okay. The kids enjoy it. I enjoy it. But I've been doing practice games and scrimmages with my kids in my practices since I picked them up as third graders outdoors, as you should in any practice. And we do lots of those different welcome games. So my kids are really good at taking the scrimmage seriously. And when they start to mess around, I remind them, like, if you're not going to take the scrimmage seriously, we're going to move on to something else. And that usually is enough for them to straighten out and work at the right things, because these kids are working on those 1v1s, the 2v2s we saw, the rotations we saw in the four square thing, passing and receiving, all the things that make the game work. They work hard at it here, and it's effective. It's a really small space. We're in an elementary school gym, so this court is actually much smaller than even the courts that they play games on, which makes it even more difficult for them, which enhances their skills. But they're now rehearsing all the different parts of the game. Like I said, I think we're playing 3v3 here, and the keepers are being a little bit more adventurous than usual, but that's part of the fun. So if you can do the scrimmage, great. And you can see on our court, the mats behind the basketball hoops act as our goals because they're almost exactly a futsal goal size. So I don't have to drag out the pop-up nets, which is super handy. And this gym is super tiny. The out of bounds area is maybe 18 inches all the way around, so it's super tight. Parents can't even come in to watch practice because they literally be in the firing line the entire time. But again, scrimmages, it's the kids' favorite, and if it's done well, it's a super effective tool. Like I said, sometimes 30, 45 minutes of scrimmage and an hour and a half practice. As long as they're working hard and doing the right things, that's perfectly fine with me, and they love it. Well, I hope you find those activities interesting and inspiring. They really do work well, I've found with my kids, for all different sorts of reasons. The simple line passing might be, simple, but it's effective because it really lets you focus on the technique you want them to work on. And then you can add in different variations. Like I said, you can add in a second ball, you can add in a cone, you can put in the requirements that they have to do 1v1 moves, all the different things that make it valuable for learning and refining that technique with the futsal ball and that passing technique. So I hope you found this useful. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Really helps the channel. I know it's been a slow burn. We're going to be going back to more 7v7 activities and 9v9 activities soon as the spring season is going to start ramping up in a couple of months for a lot of us. So until that time, I hope you're all well. Happy New Year, and we'll see you real soon. Bye.